Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is it, right? In the 70s, the right-wing Christianity was still trying to keep segregation alive. This is the real story here, and I wrote a book about it. In the 70s, Falwell, Pat Robertson, their number one goal was tax-exempt status for universities and colleges that practiced racial segregation. They were keeping it alive because they were all segregationists, and it wasn't working. They weren't raising funds. It wasn't catching on. Jerry Falwell never mentioned abortion in a speech until 5 years after Roe v. Wade, Steffi.
Yeah.
The most controversial thing about Roe v. Wade was how it was not controversial at all when it was decided. But since then, it worked, and 2 generations of Christians have been groomed to throw out everything Jesus ever said.
Yeah.
I mean, they vote for Donald Trump, who promised to turn away war refugees and bring back torture, and they reject everything Jesus talked about over one thing Jesus never talked about. Look it up, Christians. Matthew 25, the judgment of nations. Jesus gives his criteria for who's going to heaven and who's going to hell, individuals and nations.
Yeah.
And it's not about your sex life. It's not about how much money you give to a church or how loudly you scream at women outside clinics. Jesus has 4 criteria. Individuals and nations: take care of the poor, take care of the sick, welcome the stranger, and are kind to people in prison.
Yeah.
4 criteria. He says, however you don't treat the lowest is how you treat me. That little boy is going to go to sleep without his mother every night for the rest of his life. Because people who have never read the Bible have pretended they know what's in there, and they've used it to mutilate women over something the Bible never condemns.
Listen to the future president, Kamala Harris's response to this last night.
This story is a story that is sadly not the only story of what has been happening since these bans have taken place. And, just to step back in terms of how we got here, the former president chose 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would overdo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did as he intended, and in state after state, including yours, these abortion bans have been passed that criminalize healthcare providers. In a couple of states, prison for life, Oprah. Prison for life in a couple of states for a doctor or a nurse who provides health care.
Yeah. John, just one last one on Twitter with you, how they make up their own rules. Someone named Josh said, it's okay to use deception in the service of defeating the left. It's not sinning in order to do good. It's being righteously shrewd in order to do good. It's okay to enjoy it, lighten up. And you just said, I've never read a purer distillation of the MAGA Christianity than thou shalt bear false witness. I mean, we've talked about Trump's entire campaign this time as lies. All of it.
All lies. And it's all lies. And don't put up with it, man. I had a caller last night, and I'm done with it on the SiriusXM show. I'm saying to them, when did Kamala Harris ever meet with Vladimir Putin? Donald Trump keeps spreading that lie that she met with him before he invaded, and he threw her out. When have schools?
We all know she was busy doing transgender surgery on illegal aliens in prison then, and could not make the Putin meeting.
Schools are giving transgender surgery to children without their parents' consent. I mean, crazy lies. And the media needs to call them lies. And every one of these Republicans needs to answer for why we're still getting these Haitian refugee lies weeks after they've been debunked. Steffi, this guy began his career as a Republican, Trump did, with a racist lie about the first black president, and he's ending his career as a Republican with racist lies about legal migrants.
Jody, how do you come for John Fugelsang on social media?
You don't.
That's right. Outlaw voter said Trump has always been pro-union. You just can't stand that pesky little fact because you're a rabid, low IQ liberal with major TDS. And you said Trump is a scab who's hired undocumented immigrants to avoid paying U.S. workers a living wage in 2 different centuries. Thank you.
And can we just say about the Teamsters, my God, they endorsed Joe Biden. They supported Joe Biden's policies, the most pro-union presidency of my lifetime, of the last 75 years. Joe Biden walked the picket line with them. And in 2022, when their pensions were saved with $36 billion, and every Republican voted against it. It was Vice President Kamala Harris who cast the tie-breaking vote to guarantee that those bastards would get their pensions. Now, a lot of Teamsters are embarrassed by this,
and a lot of them are into. A lot of them separately states are endorsing. And we had a Teamster call yesterday, John, who said that all of them knew that survey was bull, or they can go, more support Trump anyway.
But look at it. They endorse Biden's policies and his agenda, but as soon as it's a brown woman with the same agenda, they flip over to the racist. Remember, Kamala Harris has every union in America. She didn't need this. Donald Trump needed it a lot more than she did, and he didn't get it.
More importantly, John Fugelsang threads, when I die, I'm going to tell St. Peter I was blocked on Twitter by Jerry Falwell Jr., Sebastian Gorka, Scott Baio, Rudy Giuliani, and Sean Hannity, just to see if he offers me an express lane. There will be an express lane in heaven for you, John Fugelsang. This I know.
If we're quoting threads now, the times they are a-changing. Wow, look at that.
All right, I will see you in Durham tomorrow night, 2011, the last time we were there.
Last time, it was the third show we ever did on this tour was in Durham back in 2011. I'm so excited to go back.
There's no denying it, the vibes are really good right now. But vibes alone won't save our democracy. We need votes. At the Grassroots Democrats HQ, we know what it takes to win elections. Knocking doors, making calls, sending texts, and writing postcards. If we're going to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and give them the Democratic Congress to pass their agenda, then we need to roll up our sleeves and talk to a record number of voters between now and November 5th. But let's be clear, we can't do it without you. So, are you ready to work? This is a fight for freedom and our future, and everything is at stake. Don't wake up on November 6th wishing you had done more. Join us. Go to grassrootsdems.org today to sign up to volunteer, and let's go win this thing.